Okay. Okay, and go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sonic Talk, the pre-Christmas jolly Sonic Talk. My name's Nick Batt. I'm editor of sonicstate.com. This is episode number 249, recording live today, Wednesday, the 21st of December, so quite close to Christmas. We're very, very fortunate today to have a live guest in the studio. I think this is the very first time this has ever happened. So,
and probably the last.
If Tony over here is coming to switch, hello Tony. Tony's the Mac Doctor, and there is Dave Robinson.
Hello,
ladies and gentlemen. Dave Robinson in the flesh.
Look at my bottle.
Look at your bottle. Who's very kindly decided to enter this pub to the Spirit and wear a hat.
Well, I didn't have any choice, did I?
You didn't actually have any choice. So, I guess you finished work then, have you, Dave?
Yeah, we finished yesterday. We had a big Christmas party in London, and our new publisher very kindly. We had a big 6-hour drinking fest, and we had a pop quiz and a pub quiz thing, which our team came last, unfortunately. But there are only 5 teams, and the first prize was an Xbox for every member of the team. So some people left the party with big smiles, and others with a great big cup of disappointment, and that was me.
Apart from a free bar bill.
Well, yeah, and yes, a slightly disoriented sense of balance.
Have we got a lower third there for Dave Robinson? We just poke that up there. No, that's not him. I think he's. It should say it's probably about 8 or 9. I think 7 or. There we go. ProSci News Europe. You are editor of ProSci News Europe.
I am indeed.
There you are. Your lower third is up there. So if we can just come back to me, we can also now say hello to all our. We've got a big number of people here, which is great because it's always nice to have that pre-Christmas. I'm very red today, including red in the face. Red hat, red face, red T-shirt. I'm blaming the colour balance myself. Not the about to be opened bottle of champagne, which I'm going to do. In fact, I should probably do that now. Before we get on to anybody else. Let's see.
Yeah, let's get
Dave,
started.
You said you were going to open this and have it ready for me. And you've let me down. I can't believe it.
Right, that's it.
I haven't got any nails. Here we go. So, folks, this is not usual. I am driving, so I'm only going to have a small one. But
good.
Here we
more
are.
More for the rest of us.
Yeah, more for you. After your 6-hour Christmas party, I'm
well,
you've got
hair of the dog.
Stamina left, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. Obviously, I don't want champagne to go pouring all over the entire studio. This has been in the fridge since the big get-together. Actually, this was one of the ones left over from Rich Hilton's visit.
Oh.
Here we go. Ready? I'm going to try and turn the bottle, not the cork. And can you put that maybe not so near the iPad?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
A glass of champagne for Dave. There we go. Half a pint.
Thank you very much.
Tony, thank you.
Cheers. Merry Christmas.
There we are. And
Dave's got his there, isn't it? Yeah, there he is. Look.
And Dave has got some too. So I'm going to have a little glass myself. Just a little one. Right, the rest is on the floor. Help yourself.
Cheers. Oh.
We've got to do a bit of cheers here. Right,
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers,
Can we do
Tony.
virtual cheers?
Virtual
cheers.
Cheers.
Hold on.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. It's all right. We're okay. This is chaos. There's chaos in here. Right.
Cheers.
Okay, so we'll come back to me, and we'll join our Skype. Oh, there's Dave Spiers there. If you switch to number 1, Skype. Right, so we'll say hello to Dave Spiers first. Dave Spiers, g4software.com, because he was holding up a glass. How are you, Dave? It's a double Dave week.
Hey.
You've gone quiet, Dave. I think maybe... What's happened there? Have we got a problem with audio? Is anybody not talking? What's going on?
What?
Oh, no, that's all right. Dave.
Hello?
Hello. No, we've got everybody. Dave Spiers has gone quiet. Has he muted?
He must be.
How about that?
Oh, that's brilliant.
That'll be it.
I'm afraid I seem to have muted myself. Which is probably going to be a good thing.
Left hand, double.
Okay, sorry for the disruption.
That's all right. Dave Spiers, G4 Software, thanks for joining us this week. Very much appreciated. And there you got your lower third. Thank you, Tony. This is Tony's second time, so we haven't had a chance to get him up to practice today. He's just going straight in live, as you might. And also, we've given him some champagne, which may indeed cause all sorts of problems. Right. So anyway, Dave, thanks for joining us. And we'll also say hi to Rich Hilton there, who's just popped up on the left-hand side. How you doing, Rich? Rich, Connecticut, works in the studio with Nile Rodgers in his private facility. He's one of the disco disco troupe of Chic, the live act, as well as a very accomplished keyboard and pianist. How are you, Rich?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Have you finished yet? Have you got a couple more days left?
Of Hanukkah?
Of work?
Well, yeah, we've got some work to do, but I've been working quite a bit lately, so it's all good.
Well, it's always nice to get some work these days, isn't it? Just to be thankful of it. Right, and who else? We got Gaz there, who is looking a little bit like an elf. This would be the second time in 2 days that Gaz is elf, because we did also put... Can you switch just to me, Tony? Because we did also put only... just a moment ago, we put the Sonic Touch episode 5, which you managed to squeeze in at the very short notice onto Sonic State. It's up there live. So, Gaz Williams, songsurgeon.co.uk. How are you? If you speak, we'll find out where you are going to arrive.
Here I am. Hello, everybody.
Right, he's on the right-hand side.
Yes.
There you are, Gaz.
Aha.
Nice elf hat. And that's a quality hat. Much better than these were £1.50. I suspect yours was more expensive.
It's like £2 worth there, I'd say.
Yeah. There's no bells on it, so you're probably right.
It has got a MIDI port on it, though.
Really? Blimey. USB port. Right,
Yes,
so how are you, Gaz? You're not at home,
yeah.
I can tell.
No, I'm visiting friends. So we're having actually a thing called Fake Christmas at the moment, which is just like a day of Christmas, like a Christmas day, really. We've just had Christmas dinner. I'm actually quite sleepy now.
Well
Ordinarily, it'd be crashing out time now, but
So this is the equivalent of the Queen's speech.
yeah.
You have to guess which one the Queen is. Ta-da! There we go. Anyway, Gaz, thank you very much for joining us. And we also have Mark Tinley there, who's resplendent in... Well, I'll wait for him to talk, and you'll be able to see what he's resplendent in. Mark Tinley, likebeing.com. Say your piece now, and let's see what you look like.
Hello. I am.
Wow, check him out. He's Synth-derella, because we were going to have a go at this sort of pantomime idea.
I've got a pumpkin.
He's got a pumpkin.
I've got the shoe. I want to see which one of you lovely gentlemen this... It's not quite glass, is it?
I don't know. I've got quite small feet. It might well...
I don't know if you can read the shirt, but this says, "Ooh, Duran Duran."
So you've styled your hair on Nick Rhodes by the looks of it as well.
Yeah, is that one of his wigs? Oop.
Yeah. Nick's had his hair this colour before.
Excellent. Well, Mark Tinley, likebeing.com. There he is. And you also seem to have like a Cerberus type, very colour coordinated neck. What do you call it? Collar, I suppose. That's
Yeah, I found that upstairs. I don't know if it's my daughter's or my partner's, but it's very punk, isn't it?
I like it.
It's got 6-inch nails sticking out of it.
So what you don't want to do is slump forward very fast because you might stab yourself.
Yeah. There is another problem that I can foresee, and that is that I couldn't find any makeup in the house, so I decorated my face with dry marker pen. And now, if that turns out to be poisonous, I might look, like
I was thinking there was a possibility it could actually be. I thought you were going to say permanent marker then for a minute, and I was thinking
that would have been scary for the postman in the morning, wouldn't it?
That would have been, yeah, very scary. So anyway, well, welcome, Mark, and finally we also have PJ Tracy, who hasn't been with us for a while. It's great to see you, PJ. Even though you are your usual static icon, one of these days we'll get you on video. PJ Tracy music.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to see me at the moment, but anyway. Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. We've been purchasing microphones this week and just took delivery of a pair of Mojave Audio M100 tube microphones, which sound beautiful for anybody in the market for small condenser tube microphones. I highly recommend them. Nice.
We're hopefully going to be getting hold of some SE Electronics Voodoo ribbons.
Very cool.
So yeah, because we need to, because I've used the SE. I can't remember what it's the R1. A pair mic and
the Rupert Neve mic.
No, is the Voodoo the Rupert Neve one?
No, I thought it was the R1.
No, the
R1
the R1 was the first one that they made ages ago.
Oh, okay.
That's discontinued. But a couple of times now when I've been reviewing stuff with amps and I've just stuck it in front of a speaker cab, straight into the Zoom H4n, it just sounds great. It just needs a bit of bass roll off, and it's just like, oh, that's how it should sound. It's really, really nice sound. I'm really looking forward to getting hold of those. So anyway, that's great.
How much are the Mojaves?
Yeah, next week I'm going to get the Royer R122 and try that on a guitar cabinet, see how that sounds, because I do like the sound of those ribbon microphones on guitar cabinets, but I can't afford that Rupert Neve mic from SE Electronics. That's just a little bit out of my budget.
They're about £900 each, I think, the Rupert Neve ones.
Yeah. But how much did you pay for the Mojave ones, PJ?
$1,600 for the pair, I think, US.
Yeah. Okay, well that's not bad. Yep. That's not bad. A matched pair. They're always saying matched pair. What is it? What do they do? They just make sure that they're the
same box together.
Same colour?
David Royer actually claims that you can buy these microphones as non-matched pairs because his tolerances are so high. So
Rich, you shouted no, and I'm guessing that you might actually have a reason to... What is it they do when they match a pair?
They measure them and they match them according to their similarity of response.
Yeah, okay, so they take the same frequency response. Okay, well, thank you very much. That's cleared it up very nicely for me. Right then, let's have a look. The first one. So if we could have Web 1, please. God, some people, eh?
Oh man,
the phone went and it wasn't my phone and it wasn't any of us. So this is the Nectar Panorama controller. It's basically a new Reason controller, very dedicated for Reason by somebody called Nektar, as in K-T-A-R. I think they're a UK company, and we've got 9 faders, like the sort of standard 9 channels, so 8 and plus a master, which is really handy. There's a channel strip, but there's also, quite interestingly, a motorized fader. If I get this screen up, it might actually load, even though we are downloading an enormous amount of data at the same time. Let's have a look. There we go. It's got a motorized fader, kind of like the PreSonus type stuff, so you can actually automate things as well. I know there have been other keyboards that do have that, but it kind of looked cool. In fact, I got a call from the Nectar people saying, "Why haven't you mentioned this?" And I rather embarrassingly said, because the Propelheads forum hasn't got an RSS feed, so I didn't see it pop up. But they're going to be showing it at NAMM. Now, what do you think? I mean, this has actually specifically, it has Reason and Record integration, so it's designed to work very tightly with it. I know. I don't know how many of us use Reason Record. I know, Rich, you had a look at it, didn't you? Because when it first came out, when it was announced, it sort of looked like an interesting mix environment. It's just, I guess this has got to be the first time this has happened for a dedicated Reason controller, hasn't it? I don't remember another one in the past.
I don't know of another one either, but I don't know that there isn't another one. But it looks like a very nice... It sort of reminds me of my Axiom Pro 61, quite honestly. It's got almost the same exact complement of stuff, give or take a few drum pads or whatever, but it's basically the same kind of thing. And as much as it looked good to me, it didn't look great to me, and those screen shots of their display are nothing to be bragging about, and especially when they put them up next to the screenshots of what Reason's doing at the same time, because the Reason graphic looks so much nicer. So to me, I'd want to try to duplicate that Reason graphic on the hardware piece if that was really where I was coming from, and matching it up, because that stuff that they're showing you is not all that glorious looking.
I mean, Dave, do you use Reason?
I've had a fiddle with it, but no, I haven't used it very much, no.
Okay, well, that's the end of that conversation.
But it's interesting looking at this. How many octaves have we got there?
It's a 4-octave keyboard. It's got semi-weighted, or heavy synth action, as far as I know. And like I say, we're gonna hopefully go and see it on the preview day at NAMM. So we'll get the skinny on it then, because they've been very cagey about what they're doing in terms of releasing it, and they're not kind of they're doing the trickle feed, and they're trying to do it to build some interest and see what.
I think it's always interesting when a product comes out after a product like this, where the controller, I mean, if you're not using Reason, if you go off Reason or Record, that's goodbye to your keyboard, isn't it? You can't use it for anything else.
Well, I don't.
You can't map it to Ableton or.
No, I think it will have that capability. It's just they're focusing on the Reason side of it to begin with. I mean, there's no reason why there couldn't be some sort of firmware or whatever update for this. I'm guessing. Dave Spiers, if I can come to you through the cloud of champagne that you already started at your place. Oh, you've got your hat on. I'm so pleased to see that.
Of course. Festive and all that.
I guess Reason's probably not on your radar really, because you don't have to worry about support for it because it doesn't run any external VSTs or AUs or anything, does it?
No, but I did get it the other day because I just kind of fancied it, and I think Dave Robinson, is this Niels Larsson's company?
I think he might have something to do with it.
No, he was there at Propelhead for a while. But...
No, this one.
Oh,
you mean
Nectar?
Yes.
Oh.
I think this is Niels, isn't it?
That would make sense because I know they were bringing out a controller keyboard around about, so that would make a lot of sense. I must.
Yeah, there we go. I don't.
Of course, they're not a British company; they're a Chinese company.
Ah, well, okay.
So based in, he's based in California.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Gaz.
It makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, it's all it's all clicking into place now. So.
Right. Okay. Sorry, Dave. What did you make of Reason? I mean, is it an environment that you think you would kind of spend more time in? I'm guessing that you're sort of freed from worrying about any other. You can focus purely on what's there. There's no kind of external influence, I suppose, is there?
Yeah, I did use it, years ago as a kind of. I mean, because Rebirth for us was just amazing. I mean, that was like one of the first computer music products that I just thought was stunning. And then I obviously got into Reason a little bit later, and then didn't. And then it just kind of got put aside. And then I managed to get hold of a copy for literally like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I've only just installed it, and I was only kind of mucking around with it. You forget how cool it is to press that tab thing and see everything go round and the little leads.
The swinging leads still bring a smile to your face, isn't it? After all these years.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to putting it on the laptop and, just kind of using it when I'm out and about.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see.
Gaz, you're not a Reason user. I mean, I guess most of us are probably not using Reason in a professional capacity purely because it's a closed environment, really, isn't it? I mean, it's not something that's necessarily we can't use any of other tools within it. But it looks like a pretty cool controller. I don't know how much it's going to be yet.
Well, yeah, the closed nature of it is what makes it good, though. I always maintain, really. I taught it actually I was a lecturer in a music college for a number of years, and it was one of the things that I taught. So I had to learn it for that purpose, but never actually used it for anything other than teaching it. But
right.
But I always did admire that kind of closed thing, just purely that it just, here's your working environment, here's your tools, here's an incredible array of things that you could do with it. And so it makes complete sense to have a dedicated unit there to control it. And I really like the idea with the automated fader as well. I think that's pretty cool. I do.
I really like the idea of that because I've got an Alpha track, and I wanted to get a PreSonus fader port. I mean, the only thing that put me off that was because it needed a power supply to drive the motorized fader, whereas the Alpha track doesn't. That's why I bought it in the end. But I think for most people, a single moving fader is kind of enough on a tweakery kind of point of view, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to see an audio interface built into it. I think that would have been great. That would be, laptop, keyboard, Reason, record. Such a great, bundle of everything there in just very little amount of equipment. But yeah, I think it looks quite stylish. I think it looks pretty cool.
Well, you kind of come to expect stylish from anything that's got anything to do with a Swedish company. I don't know what it is. It must be a terrible burden. What if you just wanted to be really messy and kind of not plan anything and just be really kind of like, that's fine, and just sort of instinctive and not really work plan. I mean, it'd be a terrible burden, wouldn't it? I mean,
they come and work for us.
Yeah, we got plenty of it for it. We got plenty of it for people like that here.
Because did we cover the dedicated hardware out rack thing that they brought out for Reason? That Propeller Heads brought out their own audio interface, didn't they, recently?
No, I don't think we did. That was very remiss of us, but... I suppose we are now. Not that I know anything about it.
Again, very stylish-looking thing. Dedicated for the Reason record environment. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting. It's interesting in its closed nature. That I think we've talked about this before, in the fact that it's very stable, isn't it? And it runs lots and lots on fairly modest computers and stuff. So,
Mark, I'm just going to get Mark in. Mark, do you use Reason at all? I mean, is that because I know you used to use Rebirth and stuff. Is that right?
I still do use Rebirth, actually. I use it on my Mac and on my PC and on my iPhone. Woohoo!
Wow, yeah. So one could say you're fully.
I got given what's that? What did you call it again? Reason.
Yeah.
Yes, I got given various different copies of that along the way. Like full copy, I got given by them, I think, and then maybe I got given various different LE copies of it with Pro Tools when I bought various different versions of Pro Tools, and I sort of load it up and get into it a bit, and it looks all graphically very nice. And then there's something about the sound of it that I don't quite like, and I don't really know what it is. It just doesn't have. It seems to have like a slightly more. You know, like the way ADATs used to sound. There's that kind of glassy edge that you don't really know is there once you start to throw loads of things on it and mix things. But when you listen to a single track in isolation, you can sort of hear this. It's a strange, very high glassy edge to things that makes it sound a little bit. I don't know, like you know, put a Jupiter.
I mean, you'd imagine the only reason you could think that would be the case would be in earlier versions. Maybe the resolution of the audio engine had to be kept down for CPU purposes, or it's something about sound in the way that there's like an EQ curve to it. But I can't imagine either of those things would be true now. I mean, that would be. I mean, particularly the way they've been pushing the record environment, I can't imagine that's going to be the case anymore. But it might be worth looking at that now.
Yeah, I must admit, I haven't used it for. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years. My friend who's into Ableton, who teaches at Tyne Tees University, swears by Reason and says that it's a really good program. As far as the keyboard goes, I have to say that I'm guessing that this guy must be around the same age as us and probably used to drive a Ford Fiesta XR2. But if that goes over all the Americans' heads, then how about a 1989 Mustang GT? Because it's kind of like that, isn't it? It's like white and black and red stripes everywhere. It's screaming GT at me.
Really, they should call it the Nektar GT. There's not enough kind of
sounds like a guitar.
There's not enough muscle car kind of terminology in music technology.
And then I need some of those leather gloves with the open back. Like
comes with a pair of those.
The Saint or whatever it was.
Nice. The leather driving gloves that you buy for sort of grandfathers.
For this synth, yeah.
There is the Groove Tubes Viper.
The Groove Tubes Viper is there? No, nice, well spotted there. PJ. I wonder if the chat room might come to our rescue there, because there's, of course, lots of people here today. The chat room might actually be able to come up with some more music technology kind of muscle car terminology in products. I'd like to hear that. I mean, it's just a little running thing that we could perhaps get going. Anyway, that was
the Trans Amp.
Before I finish, or before I come across as somebody that didn't like it, I actually quite like the look of the thing, and I actually quite like the look of the layout of the knobs and the graphics and everything. So that wasn't a diss. It's just something I noticed about it.
Right.
Yeah, those pedals going backwards.
Hey, Nick, may I chime in?
Yes, of course, PJ.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask if anybody remembered. I looked for this before the show, but I couldn't find reference to it, so it may be something that's stuck in my imagination rather than an actual occurrence. But I thought somewhere towards the middle of the last decade, Novation put out a dedicated Reason controller for a brief time, and it didn't sell well, or maybe it was a prototype of a product that they showed that I remember seeing.
Possible. I don't recall. Actually, it might be possible.
And it was a dedicated keyboard with lots of 1-to-1 correlation buttons on it that were all color coded differently. I remember it was very bright. Lots of knobs, lots of buttons that supposedly had 1-to-1 correlations with specific functions inside of Reason, and it sold for a fairly steep price, I think, towards $1,000 American for a controller.
Wow.
That's probably why it didn't take off, and Reason didn't have the penetration back then too, as well, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
no,
maybe that's it. Yeah.
The chat room are unable to help us with this particular one, although I'm not entirely sure how long the delay is because they're starting to paste links into Ford Fiestas. So there's obviously a bit of car appreciation going on. Porsche designed by Bossendorfer, BCF 2000. Anyway, so I think there might be a little bit of lag there.
I'm not getting it.
It's strange that we all kind of seem to approach Reason the same way, because I'm kind of like this too. I'm still stuck back in version 4. I haven't bothered to upgrade because I do use it on a professional level occasionally, and it's sort of like I'll think to myself, I could build this breakbeat inside of Reason. I think I'll do that, and it'll be something that will occur to me maybe a few times a year to do. Yeah, and I'll go and open it up. I'll make something inside of Reason. I'll say, why am I not doing this on more often, or on a daily basis? And then I don't.
I think the problem is with that because you have to use it with rewire, or you have to bounce. There's a step of removal from your everyday workflow that makes it an issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that is part of it. Yeah. I definitely think that is.
As far as that fader goes as well, am I not right in saying that JL Cooper had a thing called Fader Master with exactly the same faders on, but 8 of them?
Well, lots of people have done 8. Lots of people have done 8. 8 faders. I mean, there's the Behringer. I've got the Behringer. I've got. There's a bunch of those.
This is flying faders.
Yeah, flying. Yeah, they're flying faders. I mean, I've got the BCF 2000, which is kind of useful. I think it might have. Was that 8 or 9? I can't remember. I've got it out the back in the obsolete gear room, in the room where I keep all of the controllers that I don't use. Oh, there's a very fetching picture of Dave's knees there. Oh, he's just got down. No, there he goes. He's got a copy of Reason there.
Hey.
Woohoo.
I was just trying to work out what version it is. I think it's 6.
Okay.
I just love. I like them as a company. I really do.
Yeah, no, they're good guys.
Always
definitely.
have. It's named after the computer in Snow Crash, isn't it? Reason. Neil Stevenson novel.
Oh, that's right.
You know what?
Yeah, but
I
this is a certain man whose name we mentioned earlier. He told me that when they were launching it. But of course, it was slightly misnamed because in the novel the computer crashes, so Reason crashes. So it was a kind of it's a bit of a risky strategy, but
risky metaphor.
There you go.
I never spotted that. Good spot.
I have to say, what I love about Propeller Heads is that they sent me an email the other day and said, please go and download your free upgrade for Recycle. Now, I bought that software
Recycle
at the beginning of the 90s,
Yeah,
I think.
1994.
Recycle, yeah.
They're
still supporting it, and they're still
free
inviting
upgrade.
me to download updates for free.
Wow, that's awesome.
Now,
isn't
how
it?
brilliant is that?
20
How
years.
brilliant
Still
is that?
extremely useful. Recycle is extremely useful software. It's so fantastic that they haven't had to do much but just maintenance updates to that software.
Right,
And then Rebirth still going strong, and they give that away for free because it's kind of come to the end of its support curve. So if anybody who wants Rebirth can go to the Propeller Head site, pop in an email address and download it for free. And there's loads of forums for that's a brilliant program though. It's a great program. I love it.
Yeah, excellent. Right, I think, gosh, I didn't realise this was the time, but I suppose we really should thank our sponsors. So if Tony would like to hit the requisite button marked add, I can then bring into focus the fact that Yamaha are our show sponsors. We thank them very much for their show sponsorship. And if you're watching the video stream, which I think you should, really, sonicstate.com/live is where you need to be on a Wednesday, although not next Wednesday. We've got the Wednesday off. But this is an ad. Anyway, I'll get on with it. This is the Pocket Track W24 and C24. The W24 has wireless remote control, 24-bit 96 kilohertz recording, XY microphones, very, very small, 4.5 second startup time, so you're not going to miss, it's not like waiting forever, so you can record that moment. It records up to 2 gigs. It's got 2 gigs built-in memory, and it takes micro SD cards, so you can have up to 38 hours of PCM. Peak limiter for optimum music recording. It's got wireless remote control, which means you can stick it at the back of a gig maybe and pause it between numbers or between sets without having to climb up a chair. Just useful kind of features for that. Well,
climb up a chair, climb up a chimney,
up a chair or a ladder. And the C24 is even smaller at just 57 grams. It's one of the smallest 24-bit 96K stereo recorders there. It's got a confidence speaker for listening. You can play back double speed. It's got a metronome. It's got all sorts of kind of stuff that will make it handy for a musical environment. But you could just use it for making notes or whatever. I mean, lots mumbling your kind of drunken tunes into and then using them in the final master because you've captured them at such high quality.
I've got one, actually. I love it.
Have you? Oh,
C24.
excellent.
Yeah,
C24, brilliant.
Yeah, and it's got playback at so rather than pause and cue review, it's got playback at down to sort of 50% of the speed, or you can speed up.
So you can for dictation and
for dictation. So you can just I've discovered that you play back at 75%, and that's just the boundary of when everybody starts sounding drunk.
So
what did you do when you? 75%. That's the.
Well, there we go. There's a live endorsement there from Mr. Dave Robinson. So anyway, W24, C24. Get down to a Yamaha Pulse store. They're sort of stores within stores in some of the major dealers in the UK, and take some memory, record some stuff, take it home, take a listen, and see how you get on. Same goes for the US. Just head to one of the major dealers and say, "I would like to try one of your finest pocket tracks, sir." Maybe take a USB stick and come home with some memory and some sounds and just get them to transfer it and have a listen and see what you think. But once again, we thank Yamaha for their continued sponsorship of the show. Okay.
And go on, just say the C24, it all runs on one AAA battery as well. It's quite, you get hours and hours recording out of it on one AAA. And you've also got, there's a USB that pops out at the end.
Have you been reading my bullet points?
No. No, but I just know that it's just, it's amazing. You get so much out of it for one AAA battery.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Anyway.
Right, I think we need to have video 1, please, Tony. You might need to press it twice. It's a bit stinky, that button.
And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know you. Just knew too much.
Okay, right, so we'll cut there before we get robbed of any kind of royalties that might be due them. That was Niles Barkley. And the only reason that I'm playing that is because it's been predicted a hit by the website scoreahit.com. If you switch to, there we go. Basically, expected hits were, let me see, who did they have? We could see that was one of the hits. Oh, no, I've done that wrong. Now that's where I want to be. Expected hits. There we go. Niles Barkley, Crazy. What this is a sort of... It's put together by a bunch of boffins at Bristol University. They've created an algorithm that allows them to sort of feed in various parameters. I'm not entirely sure which ones. I mean, these expected hits that you're seeing go past the screen, you might be thinking, yeah, well, you can say that because it's like years ago. But they just feed all the data in and they can predict, or that's the idea, they can predict what is more likely to be a hit record or what isn't. And it's a very interesting kind of concept. If I go to here, this is actually the formula. If you see that, the formula is score equals W1 times F1 brackets plus W2 times F2. So there it is. That is with up to 23 frequencies and weights.
And what's the W and the F then?
I can tell you that. The W is the weighting and the features is the F. So weighting and features. I'm not entirely sure who it is that deals with that, but I don't know. Do you think there might be anything in it? I think we should probably head over to Bristol and have a look and see if there's any possible way that we could use this. Mark, everybody actually is looking really sceptical, and Gaz actually looks like he's asleep. No, he's woken up.
I was looking down.
Niles Barkley does that to me as well, actually.
Gaz, do you think there's anything in this? I mean, it's a bit of fun, but it's an intro. I mean, it's a serious musical, project that they are doing. It's by various the various people. I'm going to try and pronounce their names. It's Teal DeBee, Matt McVicker, Yi Xiao Ni, Raul Santos Rodriguez are all the people who are involved in it. I mean, it seems like quite a worthy idea because presumably, if they get it right, doesn't that mean that you can kind of stop working on a song if there's no point? You just.
I wonder just how well it works. I mean, it's I wonder if there's been this thing that the record companies have been apparently using for years, some top secret algorithm or something.
Really?
But, yeah, I've heard rumours of this thing.
Conspiracy theories,
Yeah, I don't know if this has anything to do with that, but I don't want it to work.
No, I know what you mean. It's what's the point? It's just like somebody. It's kind of like, you just throttle everything at birth, because it's like you hum a melody and it's just like, oh, just play that into here just to see if it's worth spending 24 hours tweaking the hi-hat parts or whatever.
I'll tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was working on pop music and I was invited to a music studio that's just in Kingston on Thames. That was a company called Reeve Droit, who are like a pop production company, and the guy who was running that place, he was listening to some of the stuff we did. He put it on the stereo, and he just put his wristwatch up like this, and he just watched. And after it had gone past about 20 seconds, he just started shaking his head, and then and I just thought, no. He said, he was going, it should have been in, 15 seconds ago. He was kind of doing all this. And you know what? I looked around the walls in that place. I could see that it's where, like, Boyzone and Westlife had done all their recording. I thought, I'm sitting in the heart of enemy territory. And this guy, he was such a smug old sod. And,
But he knew a thing or two.
Well, he knew how to promote boy bands.
Yeah, but it was just this way that this is what hit records have to be. They have to do this and they have to do this. And I was thinking, oh no, pop music's meant to be just spontaneous, great, weird and exciting and breaking all the rules, So to sort of impose a set of rules on something is just horrible, really.
No, but I see your point there, Gaz. But I would say there's probably so much more formula in there.
Yeah, and pop music is.
Yeah, of course it is. So I don't think a lot of pop music is about breaking the rules. A lot of pop music is about creating something that's going to fit in a certain mould. And it's interesting to see this that this score a hit, because I don't know whether they're taking into account. I mean, if they're just looking at the musicality and the lyrics and the verse, chorus, middle eight, chorus, repeat till fade or whatever, but anything that's actually going to be a hit is also driven by marketing and image as well. So. There are certain covers people do of certain songs that won't be a hit, but might have been hit by another artist.
Yeah.
So there's always that sort of unpredictable.
Well, they go into that on here because they say, with the original version of the song, they expected it to be a hit, but it wasn't.
Oh, but then when somebody else took over
has taken over it, then it has.
Well, look at the X Factor. What the X Factor does with.
Well, that's but that's because you got enormous amounts of promotion.
Well, again, but that's still part of it.
That's a part of it, I suppose. I know it's interesting. I mean, pop music is incredibly formulaic. I mean, you've got to open with the chorus. I mean, and that's been going on since American had national radio or where radio stations were in America. I mean, you had to get your chorus in. You start with the chorus because that's like your poster frame. That's the bit that says, right, here's the, makes it identifiable or a really identifiable sound. I mean, it's not rocket science. You do, you do two verses or a verse and a half, then you do a chorus, you hold off for a bit, then you do a verse, then you do a middle eight. I mean, obviously there are lots of ways to do this, but there are standard ways of doing things. I mean, I personally love it when people do arrangements that are completely out there and a bit different, but it's not really what tends to happen in pop music so much. Although there does seem to be a bit more of it. I know, Rich, you're looking kind of fairly solemn there. Is this a subject that you have any opinion on, or what? I know it's hard to take me seriously with a tartan Santa hat on, but I do.
Oh, that's not it at all. No, you're much easier to take seriously than the idea that we can quantify these things, or that we should. But I it's interesting to me that they're doing it, but it really doesn't hold much interest to me. And of course, even they acknowledge its weaknesses and its inability to forecast things like world events and current popular trends and other. Although they think they actually can tap into the popular trends part, but the examples you just cited, they admit that they can't catch it in every circumstance. I took a good look at it, and I don't know. It reminds me of a cartoon I once saw where. I think it's a Far Side cartoon where you have Einstein in front of a blackboard and there's like 4 rows of mathematical calculating figures, and at the end it says equals and there's a big dollar sign. Right. And that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Follow the bouncing decimal point.
And at the bottom it says Einstein finally proves that time is money.
I don't know, it's kind of fun. I'm the Mark Tinley. I mean, you went through a period where you were trying to write songs really, really quickly, as fast as possible. I mean,
that was only because I spent 2 years making an album with Duran Duran, and I just thought, why does it take so long to write songs? So I just
it's an antidote,
set myself a goal of, like, if I haven't finished a song by the time I want to turn the computer off in a couple of hours' time, then it's not worth coming back to, kind of thing. So, I really like. Well, first of all, I like the idea of this, and I find it fascinating that they even think that they can predict hits. But and fascinating that they've got some kind of success with it. But I don't think they're looking at the right criteria, because when we look at what a hit is, are they looking at? It looks like they're looking at chart position, and a chart position doesn't tell you overall how many records a record sold. So I don't really see any Pink Floyd showing up in here. And, like, if I walk into Sainsbury's now to go and do my Christmas shopping, and I just happen to walk along the album chart just to see if, what's interesting, what's in the charts, what I might want to buy for myself or my partner or my kids, what do I see there? I see Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. That record has been in the charts since I was, like, about 13, 14, whatever years old, right? This doesn't seem to be showing up on this score a hit thing. In terms of, like, number of, I was 10 in 1973, yeah. So number of records sold, shouldn't that really be the way of
yes, but an album is not a song, is it? So I suppose that's where, I mean...
But you've got to measure it along something, haven't you? So if they're measuring it how high it got to in the hit parade at a certain point, then that's it's a peak, isn't it, rather than a long-term quantitative assessment, I would say. So
yeah, well, maybe so. No, but that's a very valid point, actually, Mark. I mean, seriously made by a man in a purple wig.
And surely you don't want to buy something that's got brain damage on it at Christmas, do you? Really?
No, perhaps not.
Of all the albums to buy, Dark Side of the Moon, give me strength. I'm not keen, Pink Floyd.
I don't think. I think there's some of it that's lovely. I don't know. PJ, is this? Did you kind of find this interesting? Because I know you're very interested in the psychology of music and the way that it affects the brain and what have you. Does this?
Can I have some more champagne, please?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I do. I find this fascinating. I guess right out of the gate, my first thought is I'm glad that the horse is out of the barn with the internet, so that the powers that be, or that used to be, that sort of controlled the entire distribution network of what it was that we listened to in terms of popular music, isn't able to eventually clamp onto something once they feel that it's working well enough and say, we're using this as the metric by which all things are made.
Yeah.
So because had we had something like this back in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, then we wouldn't have had some of the greatest music, popular music of the last 50 years ever made. And I find that sad that that we, like Rich is saying, we're basically what this thing is trying to do is quantify how much money something can make. And that, for me, is a poor metric by which to measure music. However, as a pure exercise and as an economic exercise, I do find it fascinating that people are feeling that they should put their time and resources into actually researching this as a viable way of measuring the economic impact of a specific piece of music. That's fascinating that we've gotten to the point with our technology and our information technology that we're actually able to pursue that kind of thing. I find that.
Well, I mean, I think I didn't see where it was. Somewhere on the site it says that it all basically comes down to mathematics. It's being sort of broken down to its basic point. But there is also, if I might say, news due to popular demand. We are currently working on a web app that will allow you to score your own songs. So we'll be able to upload our own stuff. So presumably there is no human interaction here. So, but that's an interesting. I'd like to be kind of nice to see whether or not you think something that's good.
Well, if it was human, if there was human interaction, it wouldn't really be an algorithm.
No, I suppose not. Yeah, that's true. But it's a bit like checking your Alexa rankings, isn't it? It's just completely pointless because
it says, "Oh, it's going to be a hit." Right, I'm retire now because I'm going to be rich and famous.
Yeah. But can you be a bit more specific? Should I pitch it as a toilet cleaning commercial music bed,
or sell it to a boy band? Sell it to One Direction.
Sell it to a boy band. Yeah.
Incidentally, just on a slight digression here, Mark, I saw Duran Duran last week. Saw them at the O2 Arena. first time I've ever seen them on this. The tour that they did.
Oh, right. Was
after they postponed it from the summer when Simon Le Bon lost his voice. They were they were quite brilliant actually, but they didn't. They insisted on doing their cover of something off that album of covers that they did. White Lines they did. They didn't do 911 as a joke. Well, yeah, which was okay, but they didn't do Save a Prayer and they didn't do New Moon on Monday, and they missed out a couple of songs that they didn't do Girls on Film actually. They ended with Rio, but they didn't do Girls on Film. Yeah,
grief.
So
what's the world coming to?
Well, exactly. Yeah, kind of felt slightly cheated that they didn't do that. But Simon Le Bon, his voice, he kept it together. You just thought at certain points he was going to. He here's some of those notes. But there's a track on the new album called Blame the Machines, I think, which is it's got this really big sort of synthy, sort of discordant synth stab riff in it, which is really techno for Duran Duran. But I'm not sure I like the machine, but I like the arrangement. You check that out. Blame the Machines, I think it's called.
Well, thank you very much.
Anyway, there we go. That's Duran Duran.
Available on iTunes now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I think we should lighten things up a little bit with a bit of video. Let's cut before we get into trouble with YouTube. This is going to go up. There is nothing really to say about this apart from how many times do you actually get a Yamaha DX7 gag on mainstream television?
It is a bit random, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's a clip from a comedy show called Big Train. Was it BBC or HTV?
I think it was BBC Two. It was after Space, so it was early 2002, something like that, 2003.
But basically, it was one of the sort of more surreal comedy shows, and it was Beermeister who sent me that. I'm very pleased to say, and it seems to have tickled a lot of people, and I just had to put it in the show. This being the kind of Christmas one, and I don't know what else there is to say about it. Really, has anyone got anything they want to add? I can't think what one can do. Dave or Gaz, anyone? Mark, you was about to speak. Go ahead.
I'm rendered speechless by it. I thought it was brilliant.
It's a good one, isn't it? Anyway, I wanted to throw that in as a little bit of a treat. So I suppose we could get on to what do we want for Christmas? Do you think we'll go for what do we want for Christmas? Is there any kind of... Because I think the panel needs to have a little bit... Because you never know. There's still, one day of posting before Christmas. Some kind of person might send us something. I'm going to go for something really expensive, just in case. So let's think. What is it that you would like? Dave Robinson, have you got an answer? Or you...
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like. I'm trying to think on my feet here. What I'd like is to be able to go to the NAMM show, which I'll be doing, and not have to
go to the NAMM show.
No. Oh, no. I'm going out a day early, don't worry. But to go and all the meetings and thing we have to do with the magazine, what I'd love to be able to do is just spend an afternoon playing with all the gear. And that would be my Christmas bet. Spend an afternoon playing with the Korgs and the Yamahas and Nektars and everything else.
Oh, that's so touching.
I know that sounds really bad. I'm going to have to go into endless meetings about microphones and wireless technology and all that kind of stuff. And it would be really nice to just indulge myself, because I would used to do that when we started out in 98, 99. I'd go and have about an hour to myself in one of the demo rooms, playing on the new Korg Trinities and that kind of stuff. But these days, I just don't have the time to do that.
Well, you can always say when you're in your rooms that you've been using this wonderful new microphone for a podcast recently from Behringer.
Well, good.
Anyway, I think that's a fairly modest. I'm sure that could be arranged. You just need to manage your diary a bit better, I think.
Well, yeah. And the other thing I want is I want a big fat lens for my the Canon 550T. I want £1,000 worth of the 24-110 lens, but that's not going to happen.
Okay, you're probably right. So I don't know, Gaz, have you got a Christmas wish that you would like to have for Christmas? Anything that that you particularly want?
I'm gonna buy myself a little Christmas present. I'm gonna buy myself a Roland keyboard amp that's called the KC110. It's just like a really small.
Oh, it's the little wedge thing. Yeah.
Battery-powered amp. It's only like maybe 30-watt thing, but you can run it on batteries.
Are you going busking? Yeah, I'm going to see you on the underground.
I could do. No, I'm various purposes really, but
you're going to plug your iPad into it, aren't you?
I am.
I kind of knew that. Oh, there's Dave drinking.
Yes. I've got a cunning plan for live. I'm going to use. I've got when I play in bass, I've got a bass stack. I'm just going to sit it at the top of the bass stack, and then I'm going to I'm going to have my iPad plugged in to my to this little switcher that I've got. So I've got my bass on my iPad plugged in, going into both amps. And when I do like a kind of freaky space rock band called Asteroid Deluxe for doing that kind of wacky stuff. So that's what I want for Christmas.
So a KC, what's it called?
KC 110. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's got one. I'm interested to know if it's any good. I think it looks pretty good.
To be honest, that and Air. There's an amp called Air, AER. Because there's loads of buskers around the office here, and every time I go out for lunch, almost all of them either have this Air amp or they have Roland stuff.
Costs you a fortune, doesn't it? Going out. Once you paid them all off to shut up.
I can't get past them without giving them a quiz. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about doing a feature and just interviewing them all, just like what you use, but they all use the same thing.
Live sonicstate from the streets of Bath.
Well, we'll see. Dave Spiers, what would you like for Christmas, my friend?
Some time off.
Yeah, I'd like some more wine in this bottle. There's a Moog modular in Toronto that was touched by Albert Einstein that I really fancy.
Wow. Still got his fingerprints on it.
Really?
His spittle.
Yeah, it needs a bit of work. It's not cheap, but it's almost worth giving the credit card a good pasting. Yeah, it's $24,000. Now, if that's Canadian
how do you
dollars,
know that Einstein touched it? I mean, come on, it's a bit like sort of saying, is there a picture of him touching the actual?
Well, yeah, it's kind of weird because there's a picture of him laughing at a joke in the canteen. I think this modular was originally in Berkeley, and then the guy moved up to Toronto and took the modular with him. But then it's like, yeah, but it needs work, and I haven't got $24,000, and I don't think I can even squeeze that on the credit card anymore.
But you're telling me you're buying them
quantum tunneling. I think
that's the way to get it
Albert
back.
Einstein has touched every Moog modular.
That's a good point.
The Einstein thing's irrelevant to me. I mean, what did he know?
I'm pretty sure he didn't know an awful lot about synthesizers.
No, more about trains and frames of reference
and nice jumpers.
Yeah.
Well, now let me see. Mark Tinley, what is it that you desire for Christmas?
What do I want for Christmas?
Sense of fashion.
That's
proper makeup. Apart from
I am what I am.
You want some Claire's accessories vouchers, right?
Yeah,
He's got some.
No, seriously, I think what I'd like for Christmas is a really, really good valve EQ, like a single channel in a rack that does parametric and everything.
Valve EQ? What's that? I don't know if I know of any valve EQ. What is their valve?
Tube test.
Pultec.
Okay, Pultec. I suppose that's right. Yeah, yep.
Pultec. Oh, yeah, Pultec.
TL Audio, they do.
All right, I stand corrected. No more. You're making me look bad. Just stop that.
And then I still need a 50-pin, 2 gigabyte SCSI hard drive.
Right.
And I quite fancy a Volvo S80 as well.
Why ever not? Why ever not?
Maybe Dave could buy you one of those when he's finished buying his Moog, his Einstein Moog.
You could sell a
Put that on the credit card as well.
Mr. Richard Hilton.
And then kill yourself.
Mr. Richard Hilton, what do you desire for Christmas? We're talking music technology kind of related, obviously. World peace just doesn't cut it round here.
Well, no.
We've already got it.
I don't have any musical ones right now. It's all boring stuff. Like,
go on.
Parts for my grill and
God,
some new socks,
floor mats for the car,
a keyboard tie.
No, I already have one of those. I'm embarrassed to say.
I should have been wearing it today, Rich.
We should all have a keyboard tie. Actually,
absolutely.
That would be something that we could wear live on the show. That would be an awesome spectacle.
Keyboard ties.
Keyboard ties.
Yeah, you've just got your keyboard pants
Ferrell
on.
Apparently created those in 1985, didn't he? Did anybody see Zoolander?
The jazz flute
movie Zoolander?
Right, the champagne's kicking in. I can feel things getting a little bit out of hand. I know. I would quite like to. He's getting right out of hand there. Has everybody else gone? Gaz, you've gone? PJ, did you ever go? Have you gone yet?
No, sir.
Well, I think you should go next because you might be the voice of reason. Or then again, you might not.
Or record.
Surprise us. Yeah.
Or record.
The voice
of reason or record.
It's the voice of Ableton.
There are many things that I want for Christmas, some of which I think I'll probably purchase shortly after Christmas. But Right now, I'm looking at two-bus compression and preamplification, and so trying to decide where best to spend my money. And for Christmas, I'd really love some Chandler germanium preamplifiers, or possibly one of their Zener limiters would be fantastic.
Yeah.
An Alicia compressor would be very, very nice. Like Mark, a Valve EQ would be beautiful. Mark, a great rack mount, cheaper on the cheaper end of Valve EQ, which is not cheap. You
got
can
any
get
of
a
the-
single channel. Langevin Mini Massive is a pretty good. Is a pretty good single rack.
Sorry,
Valve EQ.
PJ, I was going to ask, have you got any of the other Chandler stuff? You got any of the Abbey Road stuff?
I own no Chandler hardware currently, but I
okay.
will soon.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty good. So I'm detecting there's a kind of vintage, proper, discrete electronics kind of vibe to this. Well, I'm going to blow that completely away.
Yeah,
by
but look at my phone!
Yeah, what new phone? No, actually, no, I'm going to be really dull. I'd like... I want to get an SSD drive.
Oh dear!
And I want
so unglamorous.
and a brand new.
No, me too.
A brand new i7 MacBook with SSD. That's what I want. And a bicycle.
Oh.
Right, that's more like it. And a dolly.
iPhone 4S. Hold on, what's
4S.
that?
Oh, yeah.
That's Dave holding that up. Is that yours?
Yep.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Did you buy that
Instead of an iPad.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but but the thing is, you won't be able to see it because your eyesight's going to be going when you use one of those. So you should have got an iPad.
Is that a nutcracker or secateurs?
Ruin it all.
The
What's that?
contract's only a couple of
What is
years,
that?
isn't it?
What is that?
Careful
Gaz,
with your nuts.
Gaz is that a nutcracker? Gaz.
No, it's an early Christmas present I've just had today.
Right.
It's a stapler. Oh, it's all glamour in your part of the world.
It's a self-healing Prince Albert.
yeah, exactly. Keep that away from my picture.
It's a stapler.
Okay.
It is a stapler.
No, hold on, Gaz. You have to talk, so you get you.
Okay. Here I am. Here we
Okay.
go. Press and cut.
Oh.
A plectrum maker.
Oh, that is.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Wow.
What do you make it out of? Is that like sheet plastic or something?
Plectra.
Credit cards.
Anything. Credit cards.
That's one use for them.
It's designed for credit cards, but you could use anything. I made some plectrums out of the packaging that it came in, and I thought it was a really groovy present.
That's genius.
That is
It's
absolutely.
really cool, yeah.
Funnily enough,
You
I've
can
got some
start-
plectrums just like that. Where are they?
You can start a stall, actually. You could have a stall
You could,
in
couldn't you?
front of you when you're busking, selling plectrums to people.
Make him out of cardboard boxes.
That is a really good idea for a Christmas present.
A quick question
What's it?
to both Rich and Dave.
Pickmaster.
Pickmaster.
Uh,
Go,
sorry,
PJ.
Rich-
A quick question.
Rich and Nick,
Yep.
rather. Do you feel that the performance of the solid-state drives outweighs the price per megabyte or gigabyte on those
Well,
things?
it's getting. I mean, because of the parity, because of the way we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Because regular hard drives are getting so expensive because of the flooding and the sort of desecration of the factories. So there's basically no supplies being cut down. I think SSDs are looking more reasonable because the price differentiation is not so high. So I'm thinking, well, if I need a new hard drive, it's going to be maybe another £60 on top of what I'd ordinarily pay. I just like the idea
about
of. Sorry,
the rumored instability of that platform?
I have no idea. I didn't know there was instability.
Apparently, there.
What size is the thing that you're buying?
I'm not buying
That you
anything.
want
I
to
said I
buy?
want one for Christmas.
What size is it, though?
I can't afford a bloody SSG drive. I'd like to have. I would like to have just a kind of 250, 240 meg, something like that, gigabyte one, so I can put a Windows partition on it as well.
When I
Something I noticed on eBay recently is that you can buy an adapter, which is basically a laptop-sized hard drive, which you can plug either flash or SD cards into. So you can stick that inside. I mean, obviously, that's going to be limited to the size of your flash or SD card, but they're not expensive at all, actually. So if you could get away with running it just for running your operating system, or for smaller, and you weren't going to keep masses of music or data on there, that's another way to go. And
yeah, well, I was thinking because I want to make it boot camp so I can boot into Windows or Mac, because I'm finding that I've got so much editing to do these days. I want to be able to just very quick, because it never used to work properly, just to be able to boot into a Windows edit environment on my Mac. If I'm
VMware Fusion 4.
No, it won't work. That's not going to work properly.
Have you tried VMware?
It doesn't matter, because I've tried it on. I tried doing that on my 8-core Mac, and it's just not got.
Yeah.
I need all of the CPU and all of the memory to be able to run video. It just won't work otherwise. It's not. You can do. It will work well. Some VMware will work well for certain things, but massive amounts of continuous real-time processing is not one of them. I would say, in terms of if you're running video processing and audio, for instance, I think that's.
I was using Parallels, and that wouldn't work at all. And trying to even have Pro Tools open at the same time as the Windows partition just didn't work at all. But I've switched to a program called Fusion by VMware, like the real VMware company, and not some pretend one. And it works brilliantly. It deals with the way that the PC partition uses the memory completely differently. So it just seems to run in a very tiny amount of memory and seems to be able to dig into the max memory when it needs to. And it uses both of the cores as well, as far as I can tell, because you have a little switch that you can switch to decide how many cores you want to assign to it. So
that's interesting.
I reckon it's worth it, and they have a free demo. Here we go again, product placement.
Free demo.
But they have a free download. You could go and try it. You can download it and run it for 15 days and see if it works for you or not. I reckon it might.
Dave Spiers, do you use VMware, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Does it work okay for kind of having two real-time operating system things going on at the same time, or is it a bit clunky for that?
Yeah, I have to say I only really use it for testing purposes, but yeah, no, it works great for me. For what I need it to, but I'm not really kind of hammering it. Brilliant in terms of audio interface. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's sharing the resources that can be. We use VMware. We have a machine in the back, a little Mac Mini that runs a Linux machine within it that runs all our. This is getting very technical. Which runs our development environment and also our SVN code repository for those who are really that interested.
Sorry,
Dave,
still talking.
Yeah, Gaz, I think he's gone now. Gaz is definitely. I can hear him snoring. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not. When I was on the show before, had I done my Father Christmas bit? Did I talk about that? Well, when I was, I played Father Christmas for some pictures I should send you. Played Father Christmas at a children's fair in Ealing for an hour. And it's quite amazing the difference. If you've got a 4 and a 5-year-old coming in, you go, hello, my name is Timmy, and I want a Fireman Sam Ponty Pandy fire station, and this is my sister Alicia, and she wants a dolly. And you go, oh, very good, and oh well, have you been good for your mummy, and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, and I was, I wasn't bad as a Santa, even though I sounded a bit like Tommy Cooper. Anyway. But then you get, you sit there, and then a couple of boys would come in, and there were 9, right? And I go, so then, what do you want for Christmas? And he goes, well, I'd like a wireless plug-in for my Xbox that will allow me to play games with kids in other countries. And I'm thinking, get out. It's no good trying to equate the dolly and the fire station with a kid who knows that he shouldn't be even talking to Santa. You know what I mean? It was
he just paid his quid just on the off chance that you might actually have one there to give him.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then they go, which teacher are you? Which teacher are you? And go, I'm not the teacher, I'm Father Christmas.
Fantastic.
Yeah, pictures are available.
Pictures are. I'm not sure you should publish them.
I have some CRB elves making sure that nothing untoward happens.
That's for those CRB. You have to be CRB checked if you're going to work with children in the UK. Disclaimer.
Yes. Or vulnerable adults.
Well, gosh, it's nearly 5:20. I don't know what you had in mind, Mark.
I want to go to the pub.
Have we done everybody's? Everybody's done their Christmas wishes.
Don't know what I had in mind. What, for vulnerable adults?
No. This whole sort of.
I hope it's not turning up at their house looking like that.
I am CRB checked, actually. I'll have you know.
Oh dear.
Excellent. Good for you. There were other topics and were other things, but I'm just not sure I'm able to. to face them. I think I want to say now, before we get into any other business, that this is actually not a live. This is live, obviously, but next week there is no live show. I did actually record an interview yesterday with Mike Leghorn, who's the guy who did the Holst Planets arrangements for synthesizers. So I talked to him for like an hour or so, and just sort of chatted to him about the technology and his work process and stuff. So that hopefully will be out next Wednesday for those of you who need your fix of Sonic Talk. It'll just be me and Mike, of course, and his dogs that kept wandering in and out of the room. But there you go, and I want to say thanks.
Any
to
chickens?
Mike. No, I don't think there were any chickens.
So, if you Foghorn Leghorn, you said his name was.
Listen, he was very. I'm sure he gets jokes like that all the time. He's a very nice chap, actually, and lots of very interesting things he had to say. But I don't know what else there is to kind of do now, really. Mark, I'm not sure I'm ready for a long improvised piece. Oh, hold on, what is that you're holding there? Is that Cinderella's shoe?
I've got the slipper, yeah. It's actually Gina's shoe.
Where did you find that?
At the ball.
Ah, was it a good party? Were you teching for the band at the ball?
Yeah, and then there was this. I don't know where this came from.
The pumpkin. So
yeah.
I was actually when you said you needed a pumpkin, I was going to suggest that we use the. Let me just go and get it.
Well, yeah. What's this?
I mean, we need Two Ugly Sisters and Prince and some other things.
Yeah, here we go. I was going to suggest we use this as the pumpkin, which is the Mono Rocket Mission 6B case, which is very pumpkin orange. Woo! So there we go. That's a sort of brings it back to synthesizer.
That would have been perfect.
So are we actually going to have a go at some kind of improvised pantomime?
What, now?
No. I think that's probably...
Yeah.
But I very much appreciate the effort you put in there, Mark. And you look absolutely fantastic. You must have a very itchy head.
It's driving me
Scalp.
nuts, yeah.
I mean, scalp. That's what I meant to say.
Head, yeah. But I do have Duran Duran.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Right, so there was one last thing that I wanted to play. This is very Christmassy, and it's quite synthy as well. But before we do that, we should say goodbye and do all the happy Christmases and everything to everybody. So I want to say, first of all, we'll say, Mark, well, why not? You're there in full effect. I want to say happy Christmas to you, and thank you ever so much for all your time and input to the show over the last year, and we hope to make very much more of it. I'm guessing the next show is probably going to be the pre-NAMM one, isn't it? So it's going to be... It's going to be, the NAMM preamble, as it were. So have a great Christmas, and we hope to speak to you very soon.
And you, yeah. Thank you very much. Much enjoyed. It's always good fun to come and do this, so brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're more than
wonderful
welcome.
Christmas. And a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year to all the people in the chat room as well. Thank you for joining us all the time.
Thank you very much.
Like that, in it.
Oh, thank you, Kiwi Steve. That's very kind of you. Dave Spiers. And you, I hope you get to. Are you stopping work on Christmas Eve, or are you going to stop before? Tomorrow is officially my last day, so I'm.
No, Christmas Eve, I think probably.
Right. Okay. I might have to do a couple of days in between Christmas and New Year because I've got so much content to get edited and up. But there we go. But anyway, Dave Spiers, G4 Software. Thank you very much. Have a really great and restful Christmas, and do disgraceful things. Fall asleep on the sofa, and have the kids draw on your face with marker pens. All of that stuff.
Again.
Make sure you get rid of the permanent ones from the house before that happens. So anyway, thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
And Gaz Williams over there in sunny Brighton. There you go. The elf himself. That sort of almost rhymes, doesn't it?
Hot news for Dave especially. Animoog for iPhone just been launched just now,
really?
a minute ago.
How on earth are you going to operate that on iPhone? Wow, that is hot news. But have a great Christmas. I'm guessing, are you having more than one Christmas then? Because you've already had one today. So you going on to another one tomorrow, or are you waiting until Sunday?
Yeah, I'm going to go, I think, and see my folks. So that's going to be nice up in North Wales.
Right.
But yeah, I'd like to wish everybody a happy New Year, happy Christmas, happy New Year, and all that business. The chat room especially.
Yeah,
wonderful.
we really do appreciate your input. It's fantastic. The massive turbo Christmas brain today.
So happy Christmas, everybody.
Cheers.
And Rich Hilton over there. I'm guessing it's probably very Christmassy where you and I. Have you got snow, or is it? It's just frost? No. It's kind of warm.
No, it's very much. You'd find it familiar. It's dreary and rainy and cold,
low cloud, miserable,
foggy
a
out,
slight wind.
Very English today.
Anyway,
English.
Rich Hilton, I really, once again, thank you to you, and thank you again for your involvement over the whole year. And we look forward to speaking to you next year for more fun and jolly japes too.
Well, thank you, and happy Christmas and happy Hanukkah to everybody out there, and especially to you guys and to the chat room. So thank you.
Super cool. And PJ, we mustn't forget you, PJ Tracy there, the static icon legend that you are. PJTracy.com for all your PJ Tracy needs. I hope you have a great break, and you can kind of enjoy the no looming deadlines up to Christmas now. You can just kind of slip into oblivion for Christmas Day and Boxing Day or whatever it is you and your family choose to do. But thank you very much again for your involvement this year. It's been great.
Oh, thank you. I love doing this. Greatly appreciate being included in this, and really want to wish everybody a happy and restful holiday season and a peaceful new year to all of you guys, and especially to those that listen to the show and participate in the chat room. Thank you.
Excellent. Right, and have we said goodbye to everybody? I think we have. I think
Apart
now.
from me.
Oh, Dave. No, I started with you, didn't I?
No.
Oh, Dave Robinson. I'm terribly sorry. Dave Robinson here, of course, sitting. This often happens, actually. So the person who's
I've never been here before.
The person who's in the studio, I forget to say goodbye to. But Dave Robinson, I know you're down. Are you down visiting friends? You're going to do the family thing, and well, I hope you have a great Christmas too. Also.
Thank you very much.
And if I could just, I want to tweak your tassel there. So, Dave, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Editor, Pro Sound News Europe. And if, in fact, it's something you could read over Christmas, download the digital edition.
Yeah, if you like.
Well, obviously, not you. You know it off by heart, don't you?
Oh, yes.
There's a man in love with
Page
his
3,
work.
line 17.
Cut! Cut! Right, Tony, if you could press button 4, then I think that will play us out with a suitably synthy Christmas piece.